Get ready for the next fight! Welcome back everyone to another Cardfight Vanguard feature match. This is D-Rec here with Argo, and in today's match, we have Levidras on the left, piloted by myself, versus new Bavsargra, piloted by my friend Andrew on the right there. And it's going to be featuring all the new support out of DZBT07 there. So we're going to see just how powerful this new Bavsargra meta is going to be. We will be taking the first turn, starting off going into the grade 1 here. We're going to see just how much we can set up there against Bavsargra. They do have a solid grade 2 turn, which can be pretty detrimental for Levidras, having really no grade 2 turn there. We only have the new Panther Rad, which lets us search for the Levidras, but other than that, most of the cards do require that we have the Infinity Eyes markers out, so we're not going to see any real benefit until obviously we get to grade 3 and start utilizing skills to get the Infinity Eyes markers. So that'll be the end of my turn there, and then Andrew will take his first turn. He's going to go into the grade 1, and then the grade 1 skill on Ride, when he reveals the grade 3 in the Ride deck, will let him search for the arms cards there. He's going to search for one each, the sword there, and I believe he's going to grab the shield. So he'll have both, and he'll be able to discard those for later. And then the Bavsargra skill lets him play those from the discard, so he'll be able to still rely on access to those cards once he gets into his grade 3 turns. Now, some of the new support out of this deck allows for really severe multi-attacking, which I think makes this much scarier, especially with the new arms cards giving triple drive and then the inherent extra crit from, I believe it's Bavsargra skill. Bavsargra skill gives the crit, and then the arms gives the triple drive, or it's the other way around. I'm going to guard here for the OT to pass. He checks nothing, and that'll be the end of his grade 1 turn. I'll go into my grade 2 turn, riding for free with the Scorepiercer skill. We don't call any additional rear guards. Again, the only real rear guard we want to call here would be the Panther Rad, but we don't have that at the moment. And again, it only really checks for the Levidras name to help deck thin a little bit. We check no triggers on our grade 2 turn, and that'll be the end going into Andrew's grade 2 turn now. He's going to pitch the Varelord, and that's going to let him go into his grade 2. Now, I don't know if the grade 2 has an on-ride skill. I don't believe it does, but I don't believe that'll matter too much. You can see some of the cards in his hand. He can have the opportunity to set up a board a little bit there. I see the Alpalra in hand. He's going to call out, I can't pronounce any of these names unfortunately there, but that one allows him to check top 7 for an arms or a dress boost card, and if he chooses to, he adds one to hand and discards the other. But then the second half of that's going to be when he attacks a grade 3 Vanguard. If his Vanguard is both armed, then he'll be able to get the +10. Super helpful for searching, but not the ideal grade 2 for when he gets into grade 3. He obviously wants to see the other one. Again, the names are really hard to pronounce, but the other one will allow him to multi-attack a little bit when his grade 3 Vanguard attacks. I believe it's on attack, it restands. So that'll give it the multi-attacking there, and then the new armaments give, I believe the armament gives triple drive, and then Bavsargra's inherent skill gives a crit, or it's the other way around. He's going to call the Alpalra from hand there. It's going to let him check top 5. He's going to search for either a overdress or dress boost, and then the arms, and then same thing, he can add it to hand. And Alpalra is super helpful for being able to consistently have that, again, board, because it calls itself from drop, again, but it won't get its on-place ability with its from the drop zone ability, being that it needs to be placed from hand to do the searching, but still good for the body anyhow, and it gets a little bit of that power up, so you put that in front of a Varelord or a Trick Moon, it's going to be a pretty powerful combo. But ideally, when he gets to his grade 3 turns, he wants to have the other grade 2 to be able to multi-attack. He's going to call Cindy here, and then he's going to swing the Alpalra first. I check no defensive trigger, and then he'll go Vanguard next. He'll check a PG. I will check again, no triggers here, and he's going to be swinging for 18. I'll guard the 25, and that'll be the end of Andrew's grade 2 turn here. So we'll pitch the Charmney. That'll be good for setting up later. We'll go into the Empireo. We'll be at 6 energy. We'll pay the 3. We're going to use Manticite's ability. That's going to allow us to check top 5 for a card. As long as it's grade 3 or less, we'll be able to add it to hand. And so we have a couple different options. See the Empireo right there at the end, that 5th card off the top 5 check. Ideally, we want something that's going to be able to build us a board, but depending on what we have in hand, I believe we have a the other grade 2, the Antagonister in hand. We could be able to use that on place. We add the Empireo off the top 5 check, and that'll give us an opportunity to Persona Ride next turn. We are going to use Empireo skill to get the eyes. We're going to use that Empireo we just added to hand to get the Infinity Eyes markers. Now, obviously that won't give us the Divine skill, but because it's a Levidras name, we will get 3 Infinity Eyes markers. That'll help us a little bit during Andrew's first grade 3 turn there, having that 1 column be negged on power just a smidge, so that we can potentially get some cards back during his turn. We'll call the Antagonister out using the last of our energy in the energy generator there, check top 2. So we have the other Charmney in hand there, so can potentially build a board. I'm not seeing what I add here. I believe, oh, we add the booster, the double rare booster to hand there off the top 2 check, and then the other one's gonna go to the bottom. So a little bit of an opportunity to set up a little bit, but we won't get any Divine skill again this turn without the base Levidras in the soul. So we'll do Charmney's ability from the drop there to call it out. And with the other one in hand, if I do call that out, that's probably for the best, just because we won't be able to get that other Charmney ability in the drop if we had the other one out to begin with there. And we will call out the second Charmney. Decent for getting some hand back there. We're going to be able to apply some power a little bit. The positioning is pretty good there. With that grade 1 in the back, you'll be able to move, and then if we do move it correctly to that Infinity Eyes marker circle there, we'll be able to restand and boost the other Charmney. So this is a pretty ideal setup. Not the perfect setup. We are missing the grade 1 Levidras booster that would give the back attacking from the back row, but this is still pretty solid. Dealing first damage for the turn, he checks a Bavsargra, and then we'll swing Vanguard for 13. No power boost, just because, again, we don't have that base Levidras in soul to be able to get the additional power bonus. I had to double check that for a minute there. I thought it was just Levidras name, but it has to specifically be the OG Levidras, so only 13 here. We're going to see if Andrew wants to guard or not. He has a decent hand, but I don't know how much he wants to get rid of there out of the setup for his first grade 3 turn. And I believe he's going to take it. We're going to check here, and we do check a heal trigger. Offensive heal trigger is nice. The power is going to go to the right side Charmney. We will heal the Charmney in damage, putting us down to 1. Second check, no defensive trigger from Andrew there. And we're going to swing the left side Charmney first. And it's going to eat the Antagonister there to get that additional power bonus. So I believe that is currently 41. Swinging in at the Vanguard there. And we'll be able to draw an additional card off of that swing. Plus the Soul Blast, we'll be able to move the booster in the back to that Infinity Eyes marker circled there. And then it'll be able to restand with that +5. And then boosting the other Charmney. So I believe this will be ideal identical columns. If anything, the right side column would be a bit bigger with the boost, and then the trigger bonus to the Charmney there on the right. Checking third damage, no defensive triggers yet again. He checks a Fire Regalis. Ideally he wants to have that in hand, but nonetheless. We move the booster to the other side column there, getting the +5. I believe that is 33, 43, 51, 56 coming in at his Vanguard there. And he's going to PG that, discarding the spear armament there. And that'll be the end of my turn, my first grade 3 turn there. Pretty solid. We don't do the second Charmney ability. We didn't want to eat the booster, so no additional draw off that skill. But we still have a decent sized hand, and it's really going to come down to how Andrew wants to set up his first grade 3 turn there. Again, he really wants to see that new grade 2 there to be able to do the multi-attacking, and that'll give him an opportunity to not only benefit from the triple drive and the crit if he's able to set that up appropriately, but also get the additional 2 swings. hefty swings depending on how he sets up, if he's able to do the Trick Moons and the Varalord to get the boost, and then the power bonus to the front row. So on the ride there, he's going to search for the Spear. I can't know if it's a Spear or if it's a like a mace, like a long-handed mace. Either way, searches for the armament there. He's gonna have an opportunity to set up a little bit there. He's got two spears, and I believe the sword in the drop at the moment there. So he's gonna play the sword there from the drop with the ability. I believe it's the grade 2 ability that lets him do the armament there, because he didn't do Bavsargra skill yet, shoving one to soul to play one. And then with the sword, I believe in this moment he's able to retire something. But I think he has to have both armaments to do so. He's going to play the shield from hand. That'll be his official order for the turn. He's going to counterblast to do the shield's ability. He'll draw a card for the on play. Yeah, so he has the Trick Moon in hand still, so he has an opportunity to do a couple things there if he's able to overdress from the drop there. He has the Varalord still that he pitched from a couple turns ago. Possibly able to set up a pretty solid first grade 3 turn there. I don't see, unfortunately, the new grade 2 in his hand there. I see some triggers and then the armament, but no... Again, could not pronounce that name, but he does need that to be able to do the multi-attacking there. So right now he's fully armed at the moment. And then that grade 2 on the left is going to get that additional plus 10 power bonus for attacking a Vanguard with both armaments. And I believe that's the All-Power from last turn, so he won't be able to do anything with that. So it comes down if he wants to do any additional setup here. He's trying to decide if he wants to do... He's going to do the All-Power in the drop zone. There's an Energy Blast of 3. That's going to give him the new rear guard there. Again, no on-play search ability because it has to be placed from hand, but it will get that plus 5k bonus. So that's going to be coming in for a decent number there with the front row power boost there from Bavsargra. It's going to get the plus 10k total, plus 5 from the front row effect, and then his own skill is giving him the plus 5. And he has the Cindy in the back there. She'll be able to do that skill. Again, I forget what her full skill does there. I know it can push itself to soul. It'll give her the ability to call an overdress or cross overdress card from the drop there, if she wants to. So he calls the Trick Moon from hand. He's contemplating if he wants to do the Cindy skill here. It looks like he's going to do Cindy's skill. He's going to overdress. No, he's going to add the arms back from his drop zone there. He's going to do Bavsargra's effects here to do the overdress. Is he? I'm trying to figure out what he's doing here at the moment. He does do her skill. Gets the crit. We have the crit dice. Gotta have the official crit dice, official Bushiroad crit dice. I don't know, I forget how long ago they did that. I know it was back during V era, but those are limited run dice that were made by Bushi for an event. He's going to do Bavsargra skill. He's going to play the spear from the sword there. He's going to overdress into Vanguard. And then the Vanguard is going to give him the opportunity to play another arms card, I believe from hand. Yeah, so he's going to do that. He's going to play the sword from hand. He's going to blow up the last of my rear guards there. So empty board. And he has the correct setup to get the triple drive and the crit. The front row is currently plus 10. I believe that's Vanguard's effect, giving the additional plus 10. Or plus 5, I should say. It might be Bavsargra's effect, though. Or the sword. I'm drawing a blank at the moment. But front row is currently sitting at plus 10. He's going to do the boost with Vanguard there. Okay, so the additional plus 10 is coming from the Vanguard there. So that's going to be plus 20 to the front. And swinging rear first. Not entirely sure why he would go that first. I mean, I get the additional plus 10. However, with trigger bonuses, I may have gone Vanguard first, even with the reduced 10k power, and then powered up on the first rearguard swing, considering offensive trigger checks on the Vanguard swing. But he's going to swing Vanguard second here, again coming in with the triple drive and the additional crit. But really missing out on that grade 2, that's going to give him the opportunity to multi-attack. So only 3 attacks this turn. We're going to perfect guard that Vanguard swing there. And then 3 checks here. PG, Trick Moon, he gets a front. Not my super ideal trigger to see here. He really wanted to see potentially a crit to apply more damage pressure, but the additional power boost here is going to be nice. So he's looking at plus 40 to the grade 2 there on the left. I am going to use the Infinity Eyes marker to bring it down to base 40, and I will take the 3rd damage. No defensive trigger checks there, but we are now tied at 3 damage. Going into our turn, we will Persona Ride, giving us plus 10 to that front row there. But again, no additional power boost just yet. We are still missing the base Levidras to be able to do that effect. I'm going to call the Antagonaster from hand, using the 3 energy we get for this turn. Checking the top 2 for a card to add to hand. I'm not sure what we have in the top 2 check there. We'll add 1. The other one's going to stay on top. So ideally that was probably a trigger. We want to leave that there on top there, checking for later. I do have the Mythiarch Habitat in hand. I don't know if I'm going to play that this turn, given that I just top decked a trigger there. I may leave that for next turn. I have a decent amount of cards in hand to do setup anyhow, but we may want to do that still anyway, just to make sure that we're getting a board. If we can get an ideal setup like last turn there, that'll probably be the most ideal, or something similar. It doesn't have to be the second Charmney. Again, the second Charmney from last turn was pretty useless. Outside of the additional power boost, it was a pretty hefty call, and we couldn't benefit from the draw. So I want to make sure that we're able to set up without losing too much hand. If he does get the grade 2s next turn, if Andrew is able to get the new grade 2s to be able to multi-attack properly next turn, it's going to be pretty harsh if we don't have the right guard to do a proper defensive turn after this one. I don't think we push for game here, just because we're still tied at 3. We don't have any real opportunity to apply that much damage pressure, and I am missing the base Levidras to be able to do the Divine Skill this turn, so that won't be happening more than likely this turn there. We're going to call it the rare grade 2 there. It's going to let us call something back from drop, and seeing as we do have the 3+ Infinity Eyes markers, we're going to be able to get that plus 10. That's following using Levidras' skill there, the Counterblast as opposed to the Pushing to Soul, to get the Infinity Eyes markers. So there's a total of 4 markers on board in the ideal situation there. given that the Empireo lets us put them anywhere as opposed to it being one on our side and one on the opponent's side like base Levidras requires, we're able to set that up for his next turn there. So both of those columns in his front row are going to be stacked with Infinity Eyes markers. We'll call the Chardonnay out in front of that newly called Grade 1 booster. We call that back from drop with the Grade 2. And that's going to give us a pretty solid setup. I don't think, again, we don't have the... I forget the name of the Grade 1 there, but it's the other double rare that becomes a 15k booster for Levidras. We do have a good opportunity to be able to attack, I believe, 1, 2, 3, 4 times this turn for a decent amount of power. So we're going to swing Vanguard first for the 23. Again, no additional power bonuses, missing that base Levidras. Is going to Perfect Guard here. In our offensive checks, we check the OT. That was our top deck from the Antagonisters, so that's going to give us the 1 million power plus the resolution. So we'll draw one first for the check, and then we'll draw an additional card outside of that. Plus 10 to the front row, a crit, and then we will heal because we are tied. Going to be depending on how we spread around the effects there. So we still have to decide on what's going to get the crit and the million power at the moment. A couple different ways this could go. The Chardonnay and the other Grade 2 are equally strong in power, but we're going to give it to the Grade 2 on the right there. It's going to be a bit heftier with the skill of the Grade 1 in the back there getting the extra power. And then our second check is a PG. So nice +2 off that, plus the heal and the additional power bonus. Very solid. Antagonists are swinging in for 30. No defensive trigger check from Andrew there. There's going to be a beefy column here. So we're swinging 10, 20, 30, 40. With Chardonnay skill 50. It's going to be 53, 61. Coming in pretty hefty there. Depending on how he wants to guard this there. But that's a pretty beefy column, all things considered. He's going to use the shield, and then he's going to guard the additional 45 or 35 shield with plus the armament there. That'll give him enough to defend that. We'll retire the Chardonnay to draw, and we do finally draw a base Levidras, so we'll be able to potentially do that next turn. And then we're going to move the Grade 1 in the back there with the additional +5, and then this is going to come in with the crit and the million power. And Andrew will PG, given that he is now down to 2 cards in hand. One, after dropping the PG, he does not have to guard as a part of the cost there, or drop the card from hand as a part of the cost. So I'll PG that for free, and that'll be the end of my turn. Going into Andrew's second Grade 3 turn now. He's up to 10 energy. I don't think he does not have the Persona right. He's going to pay the 7 to draw an additional card there. He'll still be at 3, so he still has the opportunity to still resolve some skills on his turn there if necessary, but that was a good placement there. And I believe the Bavsargra last turn there, after he did the Alpalra, generated him 1 additional energy, so that put him from 6 to 7, and then he generates 3 for this turn. So magic numbers, magic generation, which is what we want to see. He's going to call out the double rare Grade 2 there. Again, not ideal. He really does want to see the new Grade 2, but he's not seeing it quite yet. So he's going to have the Trick Moon there, and then the Cindy's going to come back because he doesn't have a copy of her on the board existingly. And then with that, front row's getting +5 right now. Those 2 Infinity Eyes markers are really going to help out a little bit there, depending on what he checks. I believe he's still set up right now for the triple drive. He's also resolved Bavsargra skill to get the crit, but he's in a decent spot. Not the most ideal, again missing that Grade 2, but still in a decent spot to apply some pressure here. But this is mostly going to be about being able to build up hand advantage, because I don't believe he'll be in a position to push for game. Barring unless he checks the over trigger here to restand and do an additional set of triple driving, but barring that, I don't think he's in a position to push. Gonna resolve Bavsargra skill there, Soul Blasting, getting the crit. He's going to swing Vanguard first this time. A bit different from that last turn there where he swung rear first. We're going to perfect guard that. Depending on what he checks for triggers. We discard the Levidras. I believe I drew into an additional copy last turn there, so that's no harm, no foul. For the triple drive, he checks 2 Trick Moons and the Grade 2, finally seeing the Grade 2 that he needed to get those multi-attacking combos going, but a little too late in the game. We really needed to see that on his first Grade 3 turn there to be able to apply proper pressure, but nonetheless, swinging in on the right there with the Alpalra combo, and then the Verilord giving the additional +10 to the front. We're going to use the Infinity Eyes markers there to reduce the front row by 10. We're going to take that swing there. We check the defensive crit. Somebody in there trying to help out with the nice bar power markers there. It's all right though. And then swinging in with the left side column there, we're going to again use the Infinity Eyes markers to draw an additional card. In this instance, that is swinging for, I believe, 20, 35, 43 to my 23. Or it would have been 33 after the minus power, so I've been guarding for 38. We live out that turn there. Going into our third Grade 3 turn. We're going to Persona Ride into the base Levidras. Thankfully, with the Empireo skill, it also counts as the base form on the Vanguard circle, so we're going to get that Persona Ride. However, we're not going to get the Empireo version of the Infinity Eye marker skill if we decide to do it this turn. If we do that skill, it's going to be, again, 1 on our side and then 1 on the opponent's side. But we now have access to Divine Skill if we want to use it this turn. It is a pretty good spot to do it. We are at 3 to his 4. So if we do that, he didn't check too much in terms of hand advantage. So this will be a good push turn if he decides he wants to just eat the damage and try and guard around our multi-attacks here. Resolving Antagonaster's skill, again using the 3 energy regenerate for turn. Never staying at more than 3. Again, with the Antagonaster, there's really no detriment in utilizing that, checking the top card. And we're finally going to get out that Grade 1 booster there. It's going to be a 15k booster. A new copy of the moving booster. And then the Charme from hand. I don't think at this point I wanted to use the Soul. I could have, in this instance, we have the 2 Imperios in the Soul. Nonetheless, we're going to use base Levidras' skill to get 2 Infinity Eyes markers, and then we are going to Divine Skill to pay the Soul Blast there, and we're going to get 2 more markers, and then the additional +10 and a crit. Now we have 2 beefed up columns with the Infinity Eyes markers. So currently sitting at a pretty 33, 48 in the middle there. We're going to swing the Antagonaster first. It's going to be 30k at the Vanguard. And he's going to get a defensive heal trigger, ideal for him to see in this instance. It will resolve, giving him the +10 and healing, staying at 4. And we're going to swing in for the, again, I believe it's the 48k with the crit to his 23. Now, I didn't see any PGs from that last turn there, so it's going to come down to how he's going to math out the guard here. He still has he's going to use the shield. And it's going to crack it for an additional, I believe, 20k power. So he's sitting at 43 now to my 48. He's going to need a little bit more in order to get around that 2 to pass, or even 1 to pass. That's currently a tie. And then that is 2 to pass at the moment. Unless I'm mathing wrong. So 23, 33, 48. Yeah, it's currently 2 to pass. I think that's no to pass there. Or, nope, it's more than that. Unless I'm mathing wrong, that definitely should be... No, that's no pass. And we check no triggers on our Vanguard swing there, so he did eat a good chunk out of his board in his hand. But this is going to be coming in for a pretty massive amount there. And I don't know if he's going to be able to guard everything, because this is going to be coming in again. 23, 33, 43 with the skill. 51, 61 with the Infinity Eyes markers in the back, so that's massive. To his current 23k power, he's already cracked the shield. And he defensive checks OT on our Divine Skill turn. That's going to be pretty nuts, given that I don't think he would have survived even with the second defensive or normal defensive trigger check. We're going to resolve the Charmnade there, but we're not going to be able to swing, unfortunately, with our last grade 2. So we're not going to bother. I don't think we're going to resolve the grade 1 skill here, given that it doesn't really matter if we do any of that. So we're going to leave that alone. That's going to be the end of my third grade 3 turn. Going into Andrew's grade 3 turn there. He's going to Persona Ride. I think he drew the Persona Ride off of the defensive OT. What an insane way to survive at 4 with like 2 or 3 cards in hand. He's got a pretty decent setup there. He's got a Cindy in hand, and then he has the new grade 2 that he checked from last turn. So I think we're finally going to see what a true Bavsargra turn really looks like now that I think he's got the proper setup. So he's going to do the Cindy skill there. Adding the armament back from the drop zone. He's going to get a copy of the new grade 2 there from the deck in top 5. Decent start, very, very decent start. And then he's going to call the other copy out from hand. He's going to pay 3 energy there. I think he forgot to generate energy for this turn. And last turn there. Or maybe not. No, I think he generated 3 because he paid 3 last turn for the power once again. So, yeah, so generate 3, pay 3, he's down to 0. He's got an opportunity here. I'm not sure what he's going to want to do. And he's going to shove the power from hand into the soul. He's going to rearm. He's going to get the sword back. And he's going to call a Trick Moon out from drop. And then Soul Blast into 2, it's going to give him the crit. And then that's going to sack my grade 2 in the front there. So no front row once again. He's going to go to swinging. He's going to swing the right column first there with the Varelord. That's going to give the front row an additional 10k, so currently plus 25 to the front row. Absolutely insane. So we're not going to do the eyes marker. We're going to take the defensive check, checking the front trigger. Absolutely insane. Going to put us to 23k power defensively. He's going to swing the left side grade 2 there. No boost from the Trick Moon. And then same thing, we're gonna take it again. Checking a defensive heal at 5. It's gonna put us back down to 4, tying us up again at 4. Absolutely insane defensive checking going on this game. Between Andrew's defensive over trigger and then my checking of the over trigger on my turn 4, second grade 3 turn there. We're gonna PG the Vanguard swing. He's gonna offensively check a front of his own. That's gonna bump the front row up to plus 35, and then no additional triggers for the front there. And then those two on the right and the left are gonna restand with a counterblast. One unboosted and then one boosted by a Trick Moon. He is gonna swing the right side unboosted column first. That's gonna be an insane. That's 15 plus 35. It's gonna be 50k on its own to my 33. So we're gonna eat the Infinity Eyes up, bring it down to 40. We're gonna guard 48. And then he's gonna swing the boosted side with the Trick Moon there. I forget how much the Trick Moon boosts by, but he's gonna be pretty hefty there. I forget if it's plus 10 or plus 15 for the Trick Moon. I'm gonna eat the Infinity Eyes marker here. That is going to be... We're just going to take that damage there. Checking, once again, a defensive crit. So that's a ton of triggers out of the deck so far. For both of us. It'll be the beginning of my 4th grade 3 turn here. This has been a very, very long game. By all accounts, any other Bushiroad game, this would have been well into overtime. Double loss. But... we're here playing casually today, so we have no qualms with going into time. For all of you guys still watching this far into the video, thanks again for sticking around this long for a very back and forth, intense meta game here. Be sure to like and subscribe for future content if you're this far into the video. Thank you again for being this far into the video if you are. So we're gonna kick off our turn. We're gonna call another of the grade 2 out there. It's gonna give us a new card from the drop. We call an Antagonister out, and once again, burning the only 3 energy we ever have at any given time. Check the top 2. Ooh, and I saw a base Levidras in the hand there. I don't know what we're going to add, though. Add? Can't tell. Can't tell. I know it was either that, and I think the other card was a Pantherad. I'm not sure what I added here. But, nonetheless... we're gonna Soul Blast the last copy of Empireo in the Soul. That's gonna give us, once again, the Charmney. Now we have perfect board setup for a proper Levidras turn. This is really how you want it to be. Be able to move around to the adjacent column there with the Antagonister leaving, usually with the Charmney skill. So we're gonna go right into it. I'm gonna swing the 30k at the Vanguard. I believe he's gonna crack the shield here to guard that for 33. And then we're gonna swing massive. It's gonna be 18, 28 plus the 15, 43. And we do have the counterblast this time to resolve the grade 1 skill. Last turn we ate up all our counterblast with Levidras and the grade 2. But this time around we're gonna be able to get the multi-attacking and apply it to that booster in the back left there. So once again, they get swinging for 43. And with this, we're going to have 1, 2, potentially 3 more attacks. So now he's guarding, he's at 33. That's 48. It's currently 1 to pass. 53. Still 1 to pass. And we're trying to math it out there. He's currently at 53. He does need an additional 5k if he wants to give this the 2 to pass. And I think at this point in the game, considering what I have in my hand and what's already been revealed, I think there's only legitimately 2 triggers left in the deck. So if he 2 to passes here, that's a pretty solid play if we've been keeping track right. He's going to go to the pass. First check is the crit. First check with the crit. Really troublesome if we want to give that all to the Vanguard and kind of bank it on the 2 to pass, or if we want to give it to a rear. So we're going to give all effects to the Charbonnet on the left. Second check Pantherad. Good call on our part. That Charbonnet column is going to be insanely massive. It's going to be 10, 20, 30 with the skill 43, and then the boost 51, 61, 71. 71,000 at the Vanguard, extra crit. And additional 2 more attacks after this. First defensive check, crit. Second check, Verilor, that's 6 damage for game. What an intense back and forth game there, going on 3 to 4 grade 3 turns each. Just the sheer amount of trigger checking going on back and forth was absolutely insane. But thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.